Facebook Live. So we're glad to have all of you with us. I'd like to introduce a few members of our governance team that are here, in addition to members of my cabinet and district leadership that are here. They will probably be participating in one or more of these conversations. First of all, board members, I believe our board president is here, Mr. John Sparks. Thank you, Mr. Sparks. Our clerk is presently in travel, Mr. Tom Murphy, our mayor. He's not here with us this evening, but I wanted to acknowledge him. In addition with member Sherry Lowell, who I don't see out here today, but I do see Mrs. Chris Ham, member of our board. So thanks for being here. And also another member of our board over here, Mrs. Dahlia Zimmer. So we have a quorum, but it's properly posted, so we're in good shape. I'd also like to introduce our two assistant superintendents. First Assistant Superintendent for Educational Services, Mr. Brett Bonner, and Assistant Superintendent for Administrative Services, Mr. Scott Downs. Also, our Business Services Director is here, Mrs. Charlotte Gates, and here in front, making sure all the technology works, is Ms. Amber Woods, our Director of Community Outreach. So, just to explain, this is something in our ongoing efforts to communicate and to listen to our stakeholders, those whom we are here to serve, and also to inform you about a lot of the things that are happening. You know, we're continuing to grow, we're developing programs, and things happen pretty quickly, and we want to be really good at communicating clarity about important things that affect our community, that affect our students, and things that we feel are important for all of you to know about as members of our community. So here's how we're going to operate, somewhat structured, but also with some informality, so that we can hopefully have some dialogue and kind of listen and learn from each other. First of all, I'm going to provide just probably about 10-15 minutes of an update of where we are here at this point in time, which, if you can believe it, is almost a quarter of the way through the current school year. Next week, in case your children haven't told you, is the fall break. And so I'm going to highlight a few things and talk about a few current topics that are going on. I'm then going to turn the microphone over to my colleague, Assistant Superintendent Downs, who's going to talk about something that is at the forefront of all of our minds, and one of the major initiatives that's going on this year, and that's the construction and related operational and other details pertaining to the construction of our new school. So we'll talk about that. And then after we've gone through that, that will still probably leave us, if we're on schedule, hopefully 20 to 30 minutes for questions and answers, for comments. We can talk about that. And if you have comments about other things that aren't specifically the focus of tonight, that's okay. We'll do our best to either respond to them or to follow up and maybe schedule them as part of our next community conversation, or to get back to you in some other way. So if that's agreeable, we'll go ahead then and get started. First, a little bit of who we are right now. We're continuing to grow our enrollment at the K through 12 level, not including even our early childhood and our preschool kids. Is over, actually I think it's 6,426. It changes a little bit daily. We have 850 employees, 8 schools. We offer over 180 high school course choice options. This was an interesting factoid. 95% of our kids participate at the high school level, participate in some kind of arts or extracurricular activity, which I think supports that well-rounded, balanced approach to education that is a part of our identity. And very proud to report our last class last fall earned an all-time high $8 million in scholarships for post-secondary education. So we're very proud of that, and that's been very, very intentional. As I said in the update, I couldn't mention the update, even though I promised not to steal Assistant Superintendent Downs' thunder. He has much more detail to present. But we are off and running with the construction of the new school. It's going to be a K-8 school for about 750 students capacity, and it covers, as I mentioned, about 80,000 square feet. So I'll leave to Scott to dive a little more deeply into that topic, but that's very exciting. That is our 9th comprehensive school in the Sahuarita Unified School District. Another update we're very, very proud of. I just got these results hot off the press from Mr. Bonner. We had last year almost 700 College Board advanced placement examinations that were taken by our students, and several of the students took multiple exams, and I can tell you that's a triple-digit percentage increase over the last 4 years, and that's been intentional in large part through our comprehensive national math and science initiative. We were the first school in Arizona to launch NMSI. It's based out of Dallas, Texas, and we've had a lot of success. Of those 682, and again, these are college-level courses, and so even taking them and accepting those challenges says a lot about the culture of rigor and high expectations. They're hard. They're designed to be really hard, but we're fortunate that we had 251 of those students that actually earned college. They will get college credit because they not only took and passed them, but they got a qualifying score on the national examination. 105 of them took and passed these AP courses in the specific targeted areas of the NMSI program. So that's math, science, and also English language arts. And the 105, Mr. Bonner will be awarding cash prizes to these students for their hard work and also to their teachers. So that's something to be very happy about and proud about. We're also working really, really hard to find creative solutions. A lot's been said and continues to be said about the teacher shortage in the state and nationwide, and there's a lot of contributing factors, and we all acknowledge them, and we hope to continue to address them as a state and as a nation in the macro, but in the reality, we've got to find solutions. We are committed to having a highly qualified student-centered teacher in every kid's classroom. So we've taken to a partnership with the University of Arizona and others. I just met with the Vice Dean from ASU last week, and they're also very innovative and willing to work with us. But this one, the ICATS program, if you look at the sign right here at SIS, there's a sign that says we're an ICAT side, we're partnering with the U of A. We have 18 future teachers. They're primarily juniors and seniors who are here. They're getting their classes, their instruction from our clinical faculty, which is people who we loan to the University of Arizona, plus the traditional academic faculty from U of A. And perhaps the best part is these students are in our classrooms working with our students, which is a benefit in itself. Plus it's a chance, frankly, as part of our outreach efforts with the community and our efforts to recruit good people into education for the profession and for our community as well. We also have 10 now, Salway, the teaching fellows. This is kind of a grow your own where we're looking for people that are residents, have families here, have kids here maybe, have graduated from here, and are not only interested in being teachers, but are interested in being teachers in Sahuarita. And we work with the U of A to support, to mentor, to guide, to coach, to incentivize them in a modest degree to help offset some of those rising collegiate costs, and then hopefully to encourage them to come back and be teachers here at the Sahuarita Unified School District. Another creative solution this one's literally just getting hot off the press. Kudos to Mr. Downs. This is the immersion program. We're going to take these ICATs that are on our site. Again, they're upper class University of Arizona education majors, and we're going to appropriately certify them so that they can work as substitute teachers on Fridays. So we have the needs for subs. We pay them to do this, but it gives them experience. It gives us a greater pool of substitutes, and it helps us again in showcasing the merits of our school district. So very, very excited about that. New dimensions with our gifted program. We're working really hard to get better and better at what we do. This is one example. All of our gifted students at the K-5 level have a designated day. In addition to what we're doing in the regular school, in the regular classroom, we are busing them to Soapy Elementary School by grade level, and they receive instruction taught by the teacher, Ms. Child, as you can see her in the middle, although she kind of blends in with the kids a little bit. And she's providing them with authentic, hands-on instruction at a higher level of what we call Bloom's taxonomy. These kids are really thinking critically at a higher level that's designed to meet their needs. And that's been a significant success, and I think it's meaningful in our efforts to meet the needs of all students, including our students who've been identified as being gifted. We see at the core of what we do a mission of working with the broader community. That's the business community, the private, the public, municipalities, all sectors, and to align our efforts so that we're moving forward in all ways. One of them is what we call investing in the workforce of the present and future, and people who can operate the highly technical, highly skilled equipment, heavy, very big heavy equipment that is demanded of our construction sector, of our mining sector, and of other manufacturing sectors that are continuing to rise. that's very, very important. And in partnership with PIMA JTED, which is the county's vocational and career tech program, we've just launched this program. We have 20 students. The program is based in the afternoon and evening at Walden Grove, so students can take it even if they have an otherwise full load at the regular high school. It does lead to industry certifications, base level by the time they graduate, with a pipeline with PIMA College and other employers to where they can get higher level certifications. And these are jobs that are in demand. Our business partners are telling us will continue to be in demand. And the other thing that goes without saying is these are jobs that pay very, very good. So we're very excited about that partnership. And lastly, in terms of my update as a sample of happenings here around Sahuarita Unified School District in this first quarter, is we continue to be pretty innovative, I believe, in the prevention, treatment of students that have concussions or traumatic brain injuries. We hear all the time, I just heard it again about, and football probably gets the most attention, but if you look at our data, it's not just football. Soccer is another one, other sports, and a fair number of our kids that we work with, they just have accidents. They're skateboarding, or they run into things, or they fall, or things happen. And so we've been working this program for like 3 years now, led by Dr. Sarah Dactyl, who's a speech pathologist here in our district, but in partnership with our athletic trainers and our teachers and our school counselors and our principals. And what we do is we basically take an individualized approach to kids when they've had a head injury, very similar to what you'd see when the student's identified as having a specific learning disability or some kind of special education need, where we look at them on an individualized basis and we craft out a plan that helps them not only return to sports, although that, again, that's where the light is sometimes focused, but return to academics and return to health and well-being. This latest thing, and tomorrow we will have a kind of a quasi-press conference here. There's several media that has taken to this. We're one of the first high schools in the state of Arizona that has secured these MVP robotic dummies. One of the things we learned in past years in looking at data, for example, last year our 2 high schools had about, it was reported to me they had 19 concussions. And that might be from mild and something that we're just being very proactive, to a couple that were pretty serious. We had like 19, and about 11 of them took place in practice. So what we're trying to do, and we've been working really hard, is to minimize the live drill contact that takes place in practice. Can't eliminate it. Some of these sports are just physical, but to minimize that so that we can still teach the skills and the life lessons that are invaluable in sports, but minimize the collisions that might create the likelihood of an actual concussion. And these technology tools are furthering that goal, where we can teach the live kind of scenario, and we can give kids a chance to practice what they've learned, but that they don't have to go helmet to helmet, person to person with another human being. And I can tell you that although we just got these, and those are actual live pictures. The one on the right, of course, is a Sahuarita High School Mustang. You can recognize the gold and blue. And the crimson, red, and black and gray is, of course, Walden Grove. And we're getting used to those things. We got them not too long ago, but coaches have also been working at generally their approach to this conditioning and this preparation. And Dr. Dactyl recently shared with me that at this point last year, we had 10 concussions, specifically in football, and this year we've had 2. So these efforts are paying off, and it just exemplifies our concern, not only for the academic education, but the overall well-being of our young people. And so with that, again, we'll do Q&A on everything at the end. I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Assistant Superintendent Downs, who's going to talk to us about this exciting new project, which is the construction and related details pertaining to our new school. Scott?
Did you?
No.
Here's the part that I always talk into the microphone for the Facebook friends. I know I tend to move around a lot.
Wow.
All right. With that, I'll be standing right here. Well, thank you guys for coming tonight. My name is Scott Downs, Assistant Superintendent for Administrative Services. One of the jobs or endeavors that I have pertaining to my position is opening up the new school, and that entails from acquiring the land to actually designing it, to building it, to figuring out the boundaries for students who are going to go in it, to staffing. And it kind of happens in that order. So there's a lot to do when you start thinking about all the little pieces that go into it, because every time you do something and you move one piece over here, it kind of affects this piece over here. And so you have to try to get a holistic view in terms of what you're doing with the school. But before I do that, there's a couple of people in the committee that, the boundary committee, that are in the room. So thank you guys for showing up. We had two committees actually. We had a design committee and a boundary committee. The design committee is already done because we are in construction, so the design is done. We have many members part of that team, but I see many of our boundary members here, so thank you for being here. First thing I want to say for to our community is thank you to the voters. This project, the new school, is paid 100% by local money. The School Facilities Board, SFB, which is the entity that funds new schools, as I was talking to a committee or a member here in the audience before, they always seem to be about 1.5 to 2 years behind. And that's when they are on track that the money comes, but unfortunately they're always a little late. So this is only happening because the local voters decided to support our kids in our schools. So with that, I'll get right into the new school design. Again, we had about 8 people that were on the design committee. We had 2 elementary school principals. We had a middle school assistant principal. We had some community members. We had some parents. And we had some bus transportation influence as well. But as Dr. Valenzuela already said, it is a K-8 school, $20 million. It is 750 students. And the proposed opening is still August of 2018. That is very ambitious for an 80,000 square foot facility that started about 4 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago. We have employed Swayman Associates, who is the architect, who also designed Copperview Elementary School, and Core Construction, who also built Copperview Elementary School. So as I say, the dream team is back together, and Core has guaranteed that they're going to be done in time, at least with our portion. They're hoping that the turnover date to the school district is going to be July 5th of 2018. That gives us about 2 weeks to move in before school starts, so it will be a very, very busy 2 weeks. The location, if you don't know where it's going to be, and I don't know where the laser, does this have a laser pointer, Amber?
I don't know.
No. That's cool. Extra laser pointer. At the very top of the screen, you can see some existing buildings. This is an actual aerial photograph superimposed with some drawings on it. So the it doesn't quite go that far. I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not. But up here in the upper left-hand corner, basically we have the Shell station, we have McDonald's and Taco Bell, and here's the post office. Right here where it says the word location at the top of the screen, that's kind of the empty lot next to Fry's. If you were to turn right out of Fry's and continue south on Cerrito Boulevard, you'll cross Cerrito Road and it dead ends right there. That road will continue about 1 mile. Come to our new school, which will eventually be on the east side of the road, which you can see in the bottom of the picture. That road is being built in cooperation with Rancho Cerrito. It's a $3.6 million road. We're paying $1.8 million, and they're paying $1.8 million for the road. This is the picture of the school blown up a little bit more. The brown pieces are the actual buildings themselves. The green is obviously grass. The little blue area with the circle is a playground, and it's very simplistically labeled there. One thing I can say is very exciting, which I'll talk about in just a moment, that the fields and the soccer field are in cooperation with the town of Cerrito. We actually have an IGA, and they're giving $1.2 million, $600 just to help build the park, which will be a park after hours, and $600,000 for lights. Because we won't be using this facility that much after hours, but the town definitely needs more lighted fields, so it was a great IGA. This is basically the same picture that you saw before, but I wanted to let you know what each building was. Up in front, or the west side of the facility, there'll be a 2-story kindergarten through 5th grade building. The green area is the middle school portion in the back. That is single story. Up in front is the library and special education facility. Right in the center, which we normally typically do, is we put the office where the principal's office will be able to see both sides If you think most of our existing campuses, Sarita High School, Sarita Middle School, Anza, Walden Grove, and Copperview, the principal can see almost the entire school through their window. And so that is the same case here. And the last building is the cafeteria and gym. So basically you have the elementary on one side and the middle school on the other side. We have student drop-off in the front and staff parking. And we built this kind of ambidextrous because we don't know how the school principal wants to run it, but we've tried to attempt to design it to where they can do a parent pickup like Sarita Primary School, and they have the library up front where people can park, or we built it where it can be a drop-off as well and a pickup like Anza Trail School. So the school principal still has the ability to do that. We obviously have more parent parking in the back or staff parking on the north side of the property. We have the bus drop-off for the 750 students, which is about 10 buses. So if every single person rode the bus, we would have enough bus space to drop off. We never know how many students are actually going to take the bus. And we've learned from Anza that we are not going to mix bus traffic and parent traffic. So the bus loop road that you see on the southern property line will be for buses only. There'll actually be a gate at the front of that bus drivers will have a code or a remote control that they'll push to let themselves in. That's also the delivery for the cafeteria as well. This is what the school is going to look like. This is kind of our architectural design guideline in this area. So if you think about Copperview Elementary School, it's going to look very, very similar. This is the administration building with the tower, and you can see the two-story elementary side there on the bottom. This is a 3D rendering of it, kind of looking southeast. You got the K-5 two-story in the front. You can see the L for the middle school in the back. You can see the gym, the two-story gym. That's large with the cafeteria behind it, and the administrative center right there in the middle on the north side. This is the same thing, but from the other view. And part of that, in cooperation with the town, the design team had decided it was very important because Anza is so spread out, we have to spread out staff, that they wanted in the morning all the kids to come in the middle of the school. So with the bus drop-off, all the students will come on the bus drop-off zone area and come immediately into the school. We have a playground right up here where the kids will come. There'll be a second playground there now that we're able to afford it. And there's a big area out here. This will eventually be a playground that the town will build because it'll be part of the public park. But we didn't build one there specifically because our design team thought it was more important to have it inside when the kids first come to school and they don't have to spread out staff so much. So that's kind of the design. Again, it's anticipated that it'll be handed over on July 5th, 2018. With the boundary committee in the process, if you were hoping to come to know exactly where the boundaries are going to be, sorry to disappoint you. We have met 3 times already as a boundary committee. And as the boundary committee is quickly learning, I've been dreaming these numbers and playing with numbers for about a year now. And there's a lot that goes into a boundary committee or a boundary than just drawing the land and making sure it works. You have to anticipate future growth. You have to know where exactly your students are, so you have to play with live data. You have to project that data out 1 year, though, because this year's first grade, next year will be next year's second grade. So we have many spreadsheets that we get to play with. The boundary committee consists of 2 district administrators, myself and our transportation director. We have 2 building principals, which is Mrs. Neal at Sarita Intermediate School and Mrs. Robinson at Anza Trail School. So we have both on-campus and off-campus represented. My terminology when I say on-campus, I mean the 4 schools on here on the main campus, and then our perimeter schools, I call it outer campus. But so we have both represented. We have 3 teachers. We have 1 classified staff and parent, and we have 5 parents. We specifically made sure that we had a parent from every single K-8 school. So that's why we had so many parents. And so well, it's working very, very well. The first thing that we decided to do in our first meeting, instead of just starting to play with numbers, is we had to figure out what is important to our committee, meaning what is important to our community. What were going to be our guiding principles throughout this process. And so in going over them, 1, if at all possible, we'd like to move as few students as possible out of existing schools. We don't want to transition any kids that we don't have to. It's always important to minimize bus travel time if you can. 3, equally alleviate overcrowding at all schools if we have that ability to do that now. Number 4, maintain a sense of community within schools and neighborhoods, meaning we wouldn't draw a line right in the middle of a neighborhood and say you're going here and you're going to the other school. Unfortunately, you have to draw the line somewhere, so usually we do it on existing streets or alleyways. And it's interesting because no matter where you draw the line, somebody's always like, well, just include me more, just do just one more street over. We have to anticipate future impacts and future growth, as I said, and we'd like to ensure demographically diverse schools. As we're already starting to learn, as we start picking apart neighborhoods and numbers, that sometimes when you decide, oh, this might work, that sometimes your guiding principles are in contradiction with each other. You might want to include this neighborhood, but wait, they're going to have to travel 20 minutes on a bus. Or let's do that neighborhood. Oh, wait, and we're moving 1,200 students when we don't have to do that. So it's quite a challenge, but these were the things that the committee thought would be important to the community, and so every decision we make, we make sure that it follows one of those principles. So just kind of a historical lesson of what's going on right now and in the past for our current boundaries. Most schools are at capacity, and capacity is an interesting word, whether it's what our principals say or what the school facilities board says. It's always up for argument what the exact capacity is. But by design, our current boundaries for Copperview Elementary School and Onza Trail School, that there are no new houses that can be built in that area. Onza's our biggest school with almost 1,400 students, and it keeps growing a little bit. The one thing we can't control, obviously, when we say it's closed and no new houses, is when somebody moves out that doesn't have kids, but somebody moves into that existing home that might have kids. So that's our only thought of why it still grows a little bit. We obviously have open enrollment as there as well. Here's our current tracking system, just so you're aware of it. We basically have the main campus track. We have SPS to SIS, middle school to Cerrito High School, and Sopry, which is in Amado, Arizona, which is a K-5 school, feeds into the middle school. Then we have the off-campus track, which is Copperview, goes into Onza, and goes into Walden Grove High School. This is our current Cerrito Unified School District boundary, the red line. We're basically right in the middle where it almost says Cerrito. Walden Grove is out here, actually it's on the next slide. Let me show you where our existing schools are. All the red dots are existing schools. The one furthest out to the right is Walden Grove High School. We have the 4 schools right here on the main campus, just south of that Copperview, and then to the middle of Rancho is Onza Trail School. The green dot represents approximately where the new school will be. So where do the majority of our students live? If I had to draw 2 circles around where most of our students live, they would be most likely in one of those 2 schools, not that kids don't come from other locations. And what schools do they attend? The yellow is Onza Trail, Copperview, Walden Grove, and the north end of Rancho is main campus. And the blue circle is mostly main campus. And just by looking at those 2 circles, our committee had kind of decided, and I kind of pointed it out to them as well, is if you had the ability to have all the kids go to the closest school, you probably wouldn't take kids from the yellow circle and put them into a school in the blue circle, and take kids from the blue circle and put them into a school into the yellow circle. So what we had decided was, if we had the ability and the numbers work out right, that we were going to concentrate mostly on the center of Cerrito, which is the La Cañada area. Which doesn't mean we're not necessarily going to do that, because our committee actually met today for the 3rd time from 3:30 to 4:30, and we came up with many plans. Some worked, some didn't, some had concerns. So that's kind of our general philosophy. If you take anything away, that's kind of what we're looking at. If we were to do that, then that new school, the students would come off of the main campus and thus would feed back into Cerrito High School. Some of those neighborhoods might change, because if we try to alleviate some of the overcrowding at Onza, and if we change any neighborhood that goes currently to Onza and make them a main campus school, that not only changes the kindergarten through 8th grade students at that school, it changes some high school students that go from Walden Grove. They would probably have to go to Cerrito High School if they were to keep the same track. So these are all things that we have to keep in mind if we're going to do things like that. Another thing that the committee has to keep track of is new growth. We are still having new growth. Here's Copper Point development. We don't know for sure that this development is going to happen. It went to the town council, and the general plat, I believe, was approved. I might be using the wrong terminology. But there was enough signatures collected to, I don't want to say overrule the town council, but for the voters to say we would like some say in what we think should happen here. Either way, we do have numbers. Copper Point Development has told us they would build a minimum of 475 houses and a maximum of 796 houses. With a ratio that we've established several years ago, we know how many students each house theoretically produces. Might be a little bit more or less than the actual ratio, but with that, the K-5 area for 475 homes would produce 119 kindergarten through 5th grade, 57 middle school students and 81 high school students, and then you can see the numbers in red. If they were to build more than that, 796, that would be the impact. I'm told this development is still several years away. One thing that the committee always talks about is trying to look into the crystal ball, because we're trying to anticipate what's going to happen, and we don't know how quickly homes sell, or how slow they'll sell, or in fact if this development actually will even happen or not. Another area is just south of the Mormon Church on Las Quintas. There's 238 home plats there. They are already actually starting to build. I've been in their model home, and I think they built 4 houses or 5. With those 238 homes, there's 62 elementary students that we need to figure out where they're going to go as well. So if we were to include this area in the boundary realignment, we need to make sure that we have space for those 92 kids. Because we know eventually they're coming. How quickly, we don't know. So the 750 students that school would hold, maybe we put 650 in there knowing that this area is coming. And again, how quickly, we don't know. This is probably the quickest neighborhood coming out. Another area Rancho Street has already articulated to us, right south of where the new school is going to be. They said, well, in about 5 years, we'll certainly be putting 200 homes there. So that's another thing that we have to anticipate. And again, crystal ball, is it going to happen in 2 years? Is it going to be happening in 8 years? Or are they right on track for 5 years? Only the market will tell that. Not even Rancho Street, it could be specific on that. Again, that's the crystal ball. But with those 200 homes, it would produce 52 elementary and 26 middle school. So again, space that we probably want to leave in the new school. Or do we pack the school to its fullest and wait 5 to 8 years and deal with that then? I don't know. That's everything that the committee is talking about right now as well. We have 2 other neighborhoods that if you've been driving around Rancho Cerrito, you can see the pavement actually right next to Cerrito High School on the east side, which is Entrada La Villita. They're saying fall of 2017. They're not building houses yet, but I'm sure pretty quick. And then basically behind Safari Park, if you will, which is Entrada del Rio, they're saying spring of 2018, again, projections. With the numbers that are there, the neighborhood on the right-hand side of your screen, that would be 71 homes, and you can see the number of students that will produce. And behind Safari Park, eventually that will be 514 homes, producing the numbers that you see before. With that, again, we probably come up with 5 or 6 different scenarios. I could get into all 5 or 6, but I hesitate in doing that because I know that they'll change, they'll be combined, they'll be blended. We hope to have something to Dr. Valenzuela to show the board maybe by the end of November, December. Then we have to start talking about staff and everything else that goes in alignment, because then we'll know where all the kids will kind of settle out. Again, keeping those principles in mind of what's important to the committee, everything that we do, we're going to do that. And I did tell the committee, no matter what we do, somebody won't like it, somebody won't want to move. Everybody says, hey, let's build a new school, but don't move my kid, right? Keep my kid where they are. And we're sensitive to that because we know that change is important. And somebody even told me today, sometimes even good change, people are hesitant of that. And I see the person smiling that told me that today. But it is true, even good change is difficult. The last thing I'd like to leave with for the people in the audience, or if you're watching on Facebook, is if you go to susd30.us, it's going to take you to our district page. And with 2 clicks of a button, you can give us your feedback if you're sitting at home. All of our information for the Boundary Realignment Committee is going to be posted. So I just want to show you with 2 clicks of the button or the mouse where you can give us feedback and where the information on the Boundary Realignment will occur. So if you hit the menu button that's right there in the middle of your screen, and in the lower left-hand corner, you see the 2017 Boundary Realignment. And we have quite some information there now, but again, we just started. We've had 3 committee meetings. All of our PowerPoints will eventually be on there. We have a list of all of our committee members who are on there, so you can trust me that they're not fictitious people that ended up. And on the very bottom, again, it has our guiding principles that I spoke about tonight, some meeting highlights of some things that we've already done. There's the presentation that you just watched, so if somebody wants to see it again, you can click on that. And at the very bottom, you can put your name, email address, and any comments or thoughts that you have on the boundary process. Most of these will not be answered to, unless it's something that somebody wants a response. Certainly I can respond to it. All the information that is submitted here will be shared with our boundary committee as well. So all 15 members will be able to read it as well. So with that,